There is a boy. He has no father in the house. He grows up moving from country to country, never quite fitting in anywhere. He is black in places where that makes you invisible. He is different in places where different means alone. He is confused about who he is. Confused about where he belongs, confused about what his life is supposed to mean. Nobody hands him a roadmap. Nobody sits him down and says, "You are going to be great." Nobody tells him that one day, billions of people around the world will say his name with reverence and awe. Nobody writes that story for him. He writes it himself. And today, we are going to talk about why that matters for you. Not for presidents, not for the extraordinary few, for you. Right now, exactly where you are, with everything you have been given and everything you have been denied. Because the truth that Barack Obama's life screams from every chapter is the same truth that is sitting quietly inside your chest right now, waiting to be heard. No one writes your destiny for you. You do, let that settle. It is 1979, Honolulu, Hawaii. A 17-year-old boy sits on a beach alone at sunset. His mother is brilliant but struggling. His father, a man from Kenya he barely knows, left when he was 2 years old. He has been raised by his grandparents in a small apartment, trying to piece together an identity from fragments that never quite fit the same puzzle. He smokes, he drifts, he underachieves, not because he lacks intelligence, but because he has not yet found the reason to unleash it. His friends call him Barry. The world does not yet know his name, and sitting on that beach watching the sun disappear into the Pacific, he feels what so many of us have felt at some point in our lives. Lost, not dramatically lost, not crisis-level lost, just quietly, deeply, profoundly uncertain about who you are and why any of it matters. He would later write about this period of his life with devastating honesty. He would describe the confusion, the longing, the searching. He would not dress it up. He would not pretend it was noble. He would call it what it was, a young man trying to figure out if he had a place in this world. And here is why that story matters to you. Because most of us never had a father abandon us across an ocean. Most of us never grew up between continents, between cultures, between identities. But every single one of us has stood on that metaphorical beach. Every single one of us has had a moment, maybe many moments, where the future felt blank and the past felt like a wound, and the present felt like quicksand. The question is never whether you face that moment. The question is what you do when it arrives. Let us talk about something that nobody in the highlight reel version of success ever wants to show you. The years before the breakthrough, Barack Obama did not walk from that Hawaiian beach directly into Harvard Law School. He did not move in a straight line from confusion to clarity. Life does not work that way. Your life does not work that way. There were years of searching, years of working jobs that meant nothing, years of studying, questioning, failing to find the thread that would connect everything together. He moved to Chicago as a community organizer. He worked in neighborhoods crushed by poverty and neglect, trying to help people who had been forgotten by every system that was supposed to protect them. And here is the part they do not put on the inspirational posters. It was hard. It was discouraging. It was slow. The systems resisted. The progress crawled. There were days, many days, where it felt like the work was swallowing him whole and producing nothing in return. And in that struggle, in the dirt and the frustration of work that barely seemed to move the needle, something was being built inside him that no classroom could have built. Resilience. Not the Instagram version of resilience, not the motivational quote version, the real kind. The kind that is forged in years of doing hard things that no one is watching. The kind that grows in the gap between your vision and your reality. The kind that only comes when you keep showing up, even when showing up feels pointless. But let us go deeper. Let us talk about the struggle that is personal, because the professional struggle, the hard work, the slow progress, that is manageable. Most people can push through work that is difficult. The struggle that breaks people is the internal one, the voice that says you do not belong here, the voice that says people like you do not make it. The voice that uses your background, your race, your family history, your mistakes, your insecurities, as evidence that the big life you are imagining is not actually for you. Obama heard that voice. He has spoken about it, written about it. He heard the voice that said the country you want to lead has never looked like you. He heard the voice that pointed at every door that had been closed to people who looked like him and said, "Those doors will be closed to you too." And we need to sit with that for a moment, because you have a version of that voice. Maybe it speaks in a different language. Maybe it uses different evidence. Maybe it points at your poverty or your past or your education or your failures or your family or the city you came from. But it is the same voice, and it is saying the same thing to all of us. You are not enough. This is not for you. Go back to what is safe. The only question that matters in Keen is whether you believe it. Harvard Law School, 1990. A 28-year-old man becomes the first black president of the Harvard Law Review. That is not the turning point I want to talk about. The real turning point happened before that. It happened in the quiet. It happened in the decision that nobody photographed and nobody applauded. It happened the day Barack Obama decided to stop waiting for permission. There is a moment in every person's life, if they are paying attention, where they realize something that changes everything. The moment you realize that no institution is going to hand you your greatness. No mentor is going to appear with a perfect roadmap. No circumstances are going to align themselves perfectly so that your path forward is clear and safe and guaranteed. The moment you realize that if it is going to happen, you have to make it happen. Not someday. Not when you are ready. Not when the conditions are perfect. Now, as you are with what you have, Obama made that decision. He stopped drifting and started building. Deliberately, purposefully, with his eyes fully open to how difficult the road ahead was going to be. And this is what I need you to understand about turning points. They are never loud. They are never dramatic in the moment. They look ordinary from the outside. A decision made alone. A direction chosen quietly. A commitment whispered to yourself in the dark. The turning point is never the speech. It is never the moment the crowd roars. The turning point is always the moment before. The private moment. The moment where you look at everything you are afraid of and everything you want, and you make a choice about which one gets to win. That moment is available to you. It is available right now. The only question is whether you are ready to take it. Lesson 1. Your background is not your ceiling. It is your foundation. We have been taught, quietly, persistently, insidiously, to see our difficult backgrounds as handicaps. If you grew up without money, that is a disadvantage. If you grew up without a father, that is a wound. If you grew up in the wrong neighborhood, the wrong country, the wrong skin, that is a barrier. And yes, in practical terms, in the terms of access and opportunity and ease, all of those things create real obstacles. But here is what Obama's life teaches us about those obstacles. They also create something else. Hunger. The kind of hunger that comfortable people never develop. The kind of drive that is only born in people who know what it means to have nothing handed to them. The kind of empathy that only comes from having struggled. The kind of authenticity that only comes from having something real to fight for. Obama did not succeed despite his complicated background. He succeeded because of what that background built in him. The ability to speak to forgotten people because he had felt forgotten. The ability to believe in change because he had lived through transformation. The ability to hold on to hope in the darkest moments because hope had been the only thing available to him in his. Your background is not your ceiling, it is your foundation. Stop apologizing for it. Stop hiding from it. Stop carrying it like a wound. Pick it up like a tool. Lesson 2. The story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. Obama made a decision at some point, a quiet, powerful, internal decision, about the story he was going to tell himself about his own life. He could have told the story of abandonment. He could have built his identity around the father who left, the instability of his childhood, the ways the world had tried to limit him. Many people would have, many people do. Instead, he chose a different story. Not a naive story, not a story that denied the pain or erased the difficulty, but a story in which the difficulty was not the ending. A story in which the struggle was not the definition. A story in which he, not his circumstances, was the author. And here is the brutal, beautiful truth about that choice. It is available to everyone. Not just presidents, not just the extraordinary few. You. What story are you telling yourself about your life right now? Are you the victim of your circumstances? Or are you the author of your response to them? Are you the person that life happened to? Or are you the person who is happening to life? Because that story, the one running quietly in the background of every decision you make, is shaping your future right now. Change the story, change everything. Lesson 3. Showing up is the most underrated form of greatness. Before the speeches, before the Senate, before the White House. There were years of showing up to rooms where Barack Obama was underestimated, years of doing work that produced no visible result, years of choosing the harder, slower, less glamorous path because he believed it pointed towards something worth building. We live in a world that celebrates the arrival, the moment, the victory. We do not celebrate the 1,000 ordinary Tuesdays that made the moment possible. But the 1,000 ordinary Tuesdays are the entire story. Greatness is not a single dramatic act. Greatness is the accumulation of small, consistent, unglamorous acts of showing up when it would have been easier to stay home. The community organizer who keeps knocking on doors when nobody answers. The student who keeps studying when the exam feels impossibly far away. The dreamer who keeps building when the dream keeps refusing to take shape. That is where destiny is written, not in the big moments, in the quiet, stubborn, relentless showing up. Are you showing up? Not perfectly, not brilliantly, just consistently. Because consistency over time is the only force that can rewrite a life. I want you to think about the version of yourself that gave up on something, the dream you stopped chasing because someone told you it was unrealistic, the path you abandoned because the obstacles felt too high, the version of your future you quietly folded up and put away because life got heavy and the gap between where you were and where you wanted to be felt impossible to cross. I want you to think about that, and then I want you to think about a 17-year-old boy sitting alone on a beach in Hawaii, with no father, no clear future, no map, and no permission from anyone to believe that his life could be extraordinary. He did not have more talent than you. He did not have better circumstances than you. He did not have a guarantee that it would work. He had one thing, a decision, a quiet, private, unwitnessed decision that his life was going to mean something, that the story was not over, that the people and the systems and the voices that tried to write his limits were not going to get the final word. He decided to write his own destiny, and the entire arc of everything that followed, the Harvard Law Review, the Illinois Senate, the United States Senate, the presidency, the 2 terms, the legacy, all of it traces back to that one private decision, made alone, made in the dark, made by a young man who had every reason to give up and chose instead to begin. That decision is not his alone. It belongs to anyone willing to make it. It belongs to you, right now, in whatever room you are sitting in, with whatever weight you are carrying, with whatever dream you have been too afraid to say out loud. The destiny is blank. The pen is in your hand. What are you going to write? So here is what I am asking you to do, not tomorrow, not after you feel ready, not after the circumstances improve or the fear disappears or the path becomes clearer. Today, I am asking you to make the decision. The same kind of decision that a boy on a beach made with nothing but confusion and hunger, and a refusal to let his story end before it had truly begun. Decide that you are the author. Decide that the background is the foundation, not the ceiling. Decide that the voice telling you it is not for you is lying. Decide that every ordinary Tuesday from this point forward is a sentence in the greatest story you will ever tell. The story of your own life, fully and fearlessly lived. Obama did not wait for the world to be fair before he started building. He did not wait for racism to end or poverty to disappear or the odds to tip in his favor. He started building in the world as it was, toward the world as it could be. You do not get to wait either. None of us do. The world needs what you are carrying. The people around you need the version of you that stopped waiting and started moving. Your future self, the one who made the decision, who showed up, who kept going, is depending on the choice you make right now. No one is coming to write your destiny for you. That is not a tragedy. That is the most powerful thing about being human. You get to write it yourself. So pick up the pen, open to a new page, and begin. If this video lit something inside you, share it with one person who needs to hear it today. Leave a comment telling me the one thing you are going to start building right now. Subscribe to Motivation Arc because every week we bring you stories that do not just motivate you, they transform you. We will see you in the next one.